Hello and welcome to Learning Science at NTC. This is your site that is dedicated to helping you improve your results in O-level science. So we'll be covering radioactive decay. Remember, we are still on our topic, radioactivity. I am your presenter, Alex Nkumbi. So what is it that we want to cover in this lesson? So the following are the things you should be able to do at the end of this lesson. Or in short, these are our objectives. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to describe radioactive decay. You should be able to explain what it is. You should be able to write equations for the three types of decay. You should be able to define half-life of radioactive materials. You should be able to calculate half-life of materials. And then in the other lesson, we shall go deeper to talk about detection and uses of radioactivity. Okay, so radioactive decay is described as the reduction in mass or activity of a radioactive substance undergoing disintegration. Remember, in our previous lesson we said radioactivity is the spontaneous disintegration of the nucleus of an atom. So when this disintegration is happening, the mass of a radioactive substance does not remain the same. It keeps on reducing because some particles are being emitted from that radioactive substance. It may not just be in terms of reduction in mass, because some radioactive decay may involve not really the releasing of particles, but instead just the release of energy in form of electromagnetic wave, which is gamma ray. In that case, still there will be reduction in activity of a material. So that is the reason why radioactive decay is not just described in terms of reduction in mass, but it is also described in terms of a reduction in activity of a radioactive substance that is undergoing this disintegration. Remember, activity simply refers to the count rate of a sample. And we covered what count rate is in our previous lesson. Okay, so there are three types of radioactive decay. These are beta decay, alpha decay, and gamma decay. So first of all, let us look at beta decay. So this type of decay happens when the nuclide disintegrates by emitting beta particles. So when the nuclide of a radioactive substance decays by emitting beta particles, then that substance is said to be undergoing beta decay. Another type of decay is alpha decay. You can simply say this decay happens when the nuclide disintegrates by emitting alpha particles. Okay, and then the last type of decay is gamma decay. This decay happens when the nuclide disintegrates by emitting gamma rays. Remember, gamma rays are not particles. Okay, so let's go into details and look at beta decay. So what really happens during beta decay? So during the process of beta decay, a neutron inside the nucleus, as we know, neutrons are found in the nucleus of an atom. So neutrons inside the nucleus, a neutron inside the nucleus changes into a proton and an electron. Now, the electron is released as a beta particle. It is not allowed to remain in the nucleus. So it is released as a beta particle, while that proton remains in the nucleus. So what this means, or as a result of this, there is increase in proton number by 1 whenever a beta particle is released, while the nucleon number remains constant. The reason why the nucleon number remains constant is because the mass, since one neutron was converted into a proton, so it means that proton was replaced by a neutron in the nucleus. This makes the mass to remain constant. This process or this type of change can be represented by this general equation. So if P is the nuclide of a substance with its nucleon number A and its proton number Z, if it undergoes beta decay, it will release an electron. So this is an electron with a mass of 0 and a charge of -1, or simply the proton number of -1. and Q is the daughter nucleus resulting from the decay of P by emission of beta. So you can see the nucleon number or the mass number remains the same, it is still A, and the atomic number increases by 1 because, like we said, a proton is added to the number of protons inside the nucleus. To give a specific example of this change, we can look at what happens in the nuclide of carbon-14. Carbon-14 is actually a radioactive isotope of carbon. So carbon-14 nuclide undergoes beta decay to form a nuclide of nitrogen-14. Now, the question is, write an equation to show this change. So the solution to this, so we show carbon-14, that's the symbol for carbon, capital letter C. Its nucleon number is 14 and the atomic number is 6. So during this change where a beta particle is produced, you can see a beta particle has been released here. The nucleon number remains the same, that of the parent nuclide and that of the daughter nuclide, it is still 14. But take note of the increase in the proton number. Here it was 6 because one proton was added, like I said earlier, when a neutron in the nucleus was converted into a proton and an electron. So this is what happened actually. There was an increase in the number of protons by 1, and then an electron was released. So that's a good example of beta decay and showing an equation to represent the change. We go to alpha decay. To write an equation representing this change, we have radium, that is Ra226, because we are told radium-226. The atomic number, the proton number of radium is 88. So when it undergoes this process of alpha decay, its nucleon number will change from 226 to 222 because it has lost 4, which is part of the alpha particle that will be released. So we have 4 there. Then this number reduces by 4, so it gives us 222. So in short, we are subtracting this 4 from 226 to arrive at this 222. Then for the proton number, it was 88. Now we subtract these 2, which has gone together with the alpha particle or helium nucleus produced in the process. Then it means that the proton number reduces to 86. So these 2 are good examples of beta decay and alpha decay. Basically, we do not in this syllabus go further to look at gamma decay. Otherwise, when gamma decay takes place, there is no change in the atomic, the mass number or the nucleon number, and in the proton number. The numbers are maintained, but the energy is reduced. The energy of the nuclide before it releases some gamma rays is higher than after it releases. So in that case, it becomes stable by releasing that energy. Remember, we talked about nuclear stability in radioactivity 1 when we were looking at nuclear stability and the structure of an atom. Okay, so we go to half-life, and don't worry about this symbol. We shall talk about it later when we'll be talking about the dangers of radioactivity. Okay, so half-life. What is half-life? Okay, the half-life of a material is the time taken for a radioactive substance to decay by half. We can simply say, in other words, it's the time taken for a radioactive material, for half of a radioactive material to decay. Let's say you had 20 grams of radium-226 and it is a radioactive sample. You have 200 grams of a sample that is radioactive, for example, the same radium-226, and then after some time it remains 100 grams. So the other 100 grams has decayed. So the time that it has taken for half of that radioactive material to decay is what we call half-life of a material. By the way, you should be able to remember that radioactive decay is a process that cannot be made to go faster or to go at a slower rate than its own rate. Remember, these processes cannot be affected by external factors such as temperature, such as being put in a magnetic field or being put in an electric field. amount of a substance or concentration does not affect the rate of decay. Each substance has its own rate of decay, and therefore half-life is the best way of finding out the rate at which a certain substance decays. So what have we talked about in this lesson? We have defined radioactive decay. We have described beta decay, alpha decay, and I took time to talk about gamma decay. And we have also looked at the definition of half-life. In our next lesson, we shall do calculations on half-life. So see you then, and remember to share our Facebook page NTC in capital letters to your friends and any other person you know who is writing O-level science this year. Thank you so much. Looking forward to meet you in the next lesson.